Sonic. Yes! I knew it. And it is the Generations remaster. They said it runs in Hedgehog Engine 2. Wow, this is not surprising to anybody. Kind of f***ed up that the first thing they showed is, yes, we're still using classic Sonic in this. A lot of the animations look a bit more floaty and lingering than the original, I'm noticing, off the bat. Now show us the shadow stuff. Wow, someone predicted that! Someone predicted that that was gonna be what they showed in the cinematic CG part. Wow, so it really is Sonic X Shadow. Whoa! What? Is that... No, that's just SA2. I was like, okay, those... Yeah, okay. Wow, they got the black eye! Oh! Whoa! I hope Ian Flynn is writing this. This is definitely, like, either a second story or a story that runs in tandem with the main campaign. Those are just gun robots, and they're animated so well. Bio-Lizard. Just actual HD Bio-Lizard in a game. And it... Oh, wow! They're using the actual Shadow logo with the Black Arms emblem. No, I don't care about Hoyovers. Upload that trailer to YouTube. I need to watch it again. I just gotta mention, they just showed regular Generations, and it's like, okay, yeah, sure, remaster, whatever. And then they showed the Shadow part, because, like, here's the thing, right? A remaster, or from what I heard, it's actually a rehaul, bringing it from Hedgehog Engine 1 to Hedgehog Engine 2. So I was expecting, like, crazy enhancements, which I probably shouldn't have, to be fair, because when you are essentially doing kind of like a glorified port of a 10-year-old game, you're probably not going to change much. But then they showed the Shadow stuff, and they're just making a whole-ass new game with that, dude. I forget what his name is, the Doomai? I don't remember. They're just straight up using Shadow's old logo as well. Like, they don't care about that. They edited the original CG trailer to have Shadow jump in, which I saw somebody predict on Twitter. I am blown away by the quality of the animations, and there's that part where it was, like, swirling around. Like, I can see a little bit of, like, graphical improvements on the Sonic models, for sure. But, like, this is so largely just regular-ass Generations, which I don't mind, because regular Generations is very sound on its own. I don't think we've really gotten any modern Shadow animation. So my prediction with this is definitely that it's just what Shadow was going through during the main story. And I'm going to find it really interesting how it's written, because obviously Generations' tone is a lot more humorous and not really, like, characters don't have character arcs, really. It's just a lot of, like, little interactions, and there's that cool mirror scene with classic and modern. But this is obviously just Shadow's POV, because it doesn't really look like he's going to interact with Sonic, but I could be wrong. That'd be cool. I just am really wondering, like, what about the story they could change. I always thought it was interesting how everybody is, like, free at the end of Generations during the final boss fight, but of all characters, Shadow doesn't pitch into the fight, even though he's just as fast and strong as the other Sonics, and he can go super. I always thought that was really weird that he sat out, because I get it, like everyone else, they can't go super. I'm gonna find it really interesting how they decide to change up the writing. It's so cool too, because this is just, that's just the arc from SA2. This looks like a Frontiers-ass boss fight cutscene, by the way. It's really funny, like a lot of people were like, oh, Sonic Adventure 2 remake, it's totally happening. But they just put their entire essence into recreating levels from Shadow's games. This part right here was crazy. This looks like some Spider-Man 2 PS5 CPU nonsense. This is really impressive looking, and that's definitely in gameplay. I'm really curious if they're gonna, like, have rival fights for Shadow, because I saw somebody post, like, Rival Fight Mephiles, Rival Fight Infinite, Rival Fight Sonic, right? Bringing in, like, newer stuff into the episode Shadow side of things would be really cool, but again, it wouldn't really make sense in the context of the story, because I really doubt this is, like, a canonic sequel. Like, his model and animations are, like, a pretty big step up from Even Forces, which is not recent, but it's, like, the last time he was ever playable. And his homing tack being the teleport, like, they get what to do with this man now. It's crazy how Shadow has, like, always been their most popular character, and they just kind of fumbled any usage of him for like 10 years. Like, he only has one prominent spot in like the 2010s era games, which is Forces. They didn't really do anything too, like, offensive with his writing. He had cool moments, like beating the shit out of Infinite. That's the only time they actually utilized their most popular character since 2006. Like, literally since 2006. Dude, and all of these, like, you know how at the beginning of Sonic's Rivals fights, where there's, like, the introduction cutscene for Shadow and Silver and Metal Sonic and the Dragoon? Like, this right here is just exactly what that is, but with all of the perks of being 13 years later and being able to come out on things like the PS5 and PC. I find it really interesting, too. They changed, like, the whole visual look of where you fight the Bio-Lizard as Shadow. Like, this is not the same arena from SA2. These bubbles are his classic move that you would deal with in SA2, but, like, they made an effort to completely change up how you fight him, which is cool, because he's, like, crawling on the walls like a salamander. I wonder how many bosses he's gonna have. I'm also just still so stunned by, like, how much they upped their game with animation, because Frontiers had really cool animations, but the amount of, like, expression in the frames could have been a lot better, to be fair. Yeah, the way he just, like, uses all of his strength to bop a Bio-Lizard, like, just a punch, not using Chaos Powers, just a punch. And I can't get over the fact that they're using the Shadow 05 emblem. ShadowGenerations.com. I remember the domain I saw was Sonic X Shadow Generations. This is just Shadow Generations. They're really realizing how valuable this character is, and I don't think it's just because of the movie coming out. I think they're just getting their shit together in general, and they're realizing what the people want. I love that they're actually putting it on every platform this time, instead of having a painfully low amount of confidence in their game selling well, and only putting it on Epic. I'm absolutely stimming right now. I thought the idea of, like, Shadow having his own content in Generations sounded cool. It definitely sounded very much like something a fan would come up with, especially with the name. I'm really interested to know if they're actually going to give Classic any interactions with him. It's insane, too, like, watching the base Generations gameplay, and then immediately seeing, like, the lighting engine and the updated, like, dash pad assets and everything. Like, even Frontiers was reusing, like, Generations and Unleashed assets. He's green there. I wonder if he's using any Chaos abilities. Dude, like, the quality in that skating right there, the way he just weaves in and out. Like, this looks like a next-gen Sonic. Honestly, even more than Frontiers was trying to be, and I am the #1 biggest Frontiers defender of all time. Newly remastered? Does that mean, like, just remastering every stage? Or does this mean they're even adding new levels to Sonic's campaign? Because a lot of people were saying that they really wanted the 3DS content in the game. But ironically, even with this new version, I'm probably still gonna play a ton of regular Generations. Specifically because of all the work the community has done over the years. Oh, hey, let's preload that. Like, I'm very much looking forward to the ray tracing mod, because it's honestly gonna blow the remaster out of the water when it drops. Like, I've seen screenshots of that mod, and it just looks like a Marza CG animation. And on top of it all, too, it'll just be really fun to swap between the two different versions of the game and just get a feel for how different they're gonna be. Because I feel like at the end of the day, the Generations side of things on the remaster is going to be pretty identical, but I feel like there's going to be a lot of, like, little unlockables and quirks that are a bit different. It's going to be really fun just comparing differences on the Sonic side of things. I'm expecting the Shadow portion of the game to honestly be, like, 3 or 4 hours long at most. That's kind of how it works when companies release games with, like, an all-new side story. I learned from episode Shadow, you ain't getting my hopes up like that again. I know it's like an anniversary game, so of course they're gonna acknowledge a lot of older things, but I'm honestly very surprised how willing they've been to reference Shadow 05 lately. Like, there's a Lego set where you can build his motorcycle. This game just features the Black Doom Eye, I forget his name. Maybe it's Roger for all I know. There's definitely gonna be a Black Doom boss fight. Like, come on. There has to be a Mephiles boss fight at least. I know they probably can't fit Infinite because they want to keep it within the era that original Generations was trying to conform itself to. At the very least, give us a Mephiles boss fight, because Sonic and Mephiles never interacted. So no matter how much I wanted him as a boss in the original Generations, it just couldn't happen. It would make no sense. But Shadow has that interaction. I have 184 hours in regular Generations. I could definitely do with some more. And it'll be really interesting to see, like, if the modding scene will be just as strong for the new one. I definitely want everybody to finish all their ongoing projects for the original. I honestly noticed, like, not really any actual remastering of, like, the level textures. Like, this tree is printed on paper, and these bricks are just wallpaper. This is really cool though, because I remember doing the shadow boss fight in normal generations, and I always thought about how cool the Ark looks in that brand new reimagined environment, and I was like, man, it would have been so cool if we actually got a full view at the Ark instead of just this never-ending pathway. And we do, and it looks significantly better than the original Ark boss fight. I have a screenshot that I can use for reference. That is a crazy difference. And it is a little sad though, because on the Sonic side of things, they're almost certainly gonna keep the original version of the Ark and the original version of whatever levels that are somewhat mutual between Sonic and Shadow. Like, this is just the actual unaltered Shadow model from original gens. And then that's what it looks like now. Definitely the best Shadow model that exists officially. Please tell me Ian's writing. Yes! I'm so interested how the original writing is gonna be compared to Ian's writing. I kind of accept all Sonic stories to be valid, so having like a really in-depth, serious story paired with like the silly, goofy, high stakes, but like not too intense original story, it won't bother me too much, I feel. But he's also the kind of writer that can adapt based on the tone of the overall game. Like, Dream Team is honestly written pretty similar to the 2010 era, except it's got more meat on its bones. It's thought out a lot more. I'm gonna scroll through these replies and hope that no one posts Sonato porn.